24th, 1971, a man who went by the alias Dan Cooper boarded the Northwest Airlines Flight 305 in Portland, Oregon. Cooper went on to hijack the airplane, threatening that he had a bomb and would detonate it if he did not receive $200,000 in $20 bills and 2 sets of parachutes. When the plane landed in Seattle-Tacoma Airport to refuel, Cooper received the money and the parachutes that he demanded. After receiving the demands, Cooper let everyone off of the airplane except Flight Attendant Tina Mucklow, First Officer Bob Radisick, and Flight Engineer H.E. Anderson. He then demanded that the plane return to the air and head towards Reno, Nevada. The plane then again took flight. In Washington, before Cooper and the crew reached their destination of Reno, Cooper jumped out of the airplane through the air aft with a pair of the parachutes and the $200,000 that he received. Cooper was never seen of or heard of again. His motive and his true identity are still unknown to this day. Fingerprints, a tie, a mother-of-pearl tie clip, and a set of parachutes were the only evidence Cooper left behind on the plane. After the skyjacking happened, a press worker reported the hijacker as D.B. Cooper instead of Dan Cooper because of miscommunication, thus creating the legend that is today. I've read many articles that claim to know facts about D.B. Cooper. Some claim to know who D.B. Cooper actually is. Others claim to know where he is living and what he has done with the money. Others still seem to focus on whether he is alive or not. Most of the theories about D.B. Cooper are unproven, which is understandable. Speaking about the D.B. Cooper case, Richard Seven, a Seattle Times staff reporter, wrote, "Looking for D.B. Cooper is like looking for a needle in a haystack, and the needle could be driving a Cadillac in Florida by now." Cliff Klug, an airplane pilot, was quoted by Renee Montag, a Morning Edition writer, saying, "Trying to find D.B. Cooper is like trying to find Bigfoot, its theories and whatnot." Many people are trying to find answers to harder questions, which I would like answered as well. But one question I have is very simple and is opinion-based. Should D.B. Cooper be considered a hero or a villain? Most people may read about what D.B. Cooper did and think to themselves, after what he did, how could he be considered a hero? I have also thought that, but the fact of the matter is that he did not hurt anyone, he did not steal from anyone personally, and he succeeded in an act that was incredibly risky and got away with it. Renee Montag quoted Mr. Erroneous, a D.B. Cooper enthusiast, saying, "He is a hero because he made it. Yeah, he got away with something." David Krejcik, a writer for True TV, says this about D.B. Cooper being considered a hero. "Most law-abiders react with revulsion to violent criminals, with disgust to extortionists, and with a tis-tis to preponderant larcenaries that fill crime blotters in police stations across America. Yet Cooper induced more smiles than frowns. But D.B. Cooper's crime was of its time, the early 1970s, when antisocial behavior was cachet. Many Americans commended his moxie. He was celebrated in song, film, and books. He managed to tweak J. Edgar Hoover's nose and finagle a big bag of loot from a big corporation. He was the Robin Hood for tie-dyed long hairs, and not a few wearers of more traditional attire." Krejcik also quotes Walt Crowley, a historian who lives in the vicinity of Cooper's Jump, about D.B. Cooper being a hero. "It's desperado mystique. It was an extraordinary, audacious act to lower that rear gangway in flight and jump into a dark and stormy night. He didn't hurt anyone, and we all love a mystery." I agree with that statement. Mysteries are very popular. Today's television has many mystery shows. For example, the CSIs, Law and Orders, Cold Case, and Criminal Minds. All of these shows are very popular and half of the reason for their popularity is because it is fun to try and figure out the mystery of who did the crime, or trying to figure out if the person accused of doing the crime actually did it or not. A mystery makes people or situations more appealing, which is why many people look up to D.B. Cooper as a hero. Many people consider D.B. Cooper a villain for obvious reasons. He's a felon, he committed many crimes that day, including air piracy, kidnapping, and stealing, and although he did not harm anyone, he put the lives of the passengers that were on that plane in danger. Krejcik quotes Rolf Himmelsbach, an FBI agent, about Cooper being a villain. He has called Cooper a rodent, a dirty rotten crook, and nothing more than a sleazy rotten criminal who jeopardized the lives of more than 40 people for money. That's not heroic, he once told a newspaper. It's selfish and dangerous and antisocial. I have no admiration for him at all. He's not at all admirable, he's just stupid and greedy. I think even if someone admires D.B. Cooper for one reason or another, if they're a law-abiding citizen, a part of them will agree with Himmelsbach, because after all, what he did was a criminal act.
D.B. Cooper was 43 when we first heard his name. 47 miles away from where he fell down to his fame. But he told me that the hardest part wasn't really jumping out of the plane. It was spending the night watching them lights shine through the pouring